Excellency Mr. Shimon Peres, the President of the State of Israel, accompanied by the President of the Israel Press Council, Justice Dalia Dorner. Thank you. Please be seated. President Peres, Justice Dorner, distinguished guests from around the world, good evening to you. Shalom. It is our pleasure to welcome you here to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Israel Press Council. My name is Jacob Ilon. I'm a TV journalist. Very happy and honored to host this evening. Shortly, we will have a fireplace chat with President Peres. Only the fireplace is not here, and the fire is around the Middle East, I guess. Mr. Peres will talk about that. We will start with a few words from Secretary General of the Israel Press Council, Mr. Arik Bachar, please.
Mr. President, Justice Dorner, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a true pleasure to see such a formidable gathering of people committed to the free flow of information in the company of a state president who has worked tirelessly for the cause of democracy. Nothing can better underscore the vital need for reliable information than the clouds of doubt and danger gathering over the shores of the Eastern Mediterranean. A fortnight ago, I spent a couple of nostalgic hours in the main Tel Aviv library. They had pulled out for me the folders of all the daily newspapers published in Israel during May of 1963. There were more than 10 of them then, at a time when the number of Israelis hovered around 2 million. All of those papers, without exception, reported prominently on the 8th of May of that year on the founding of the Israel Press Council. 4 of those on the front page, believe it or not. We have far fewer mainstream papers today, but even those few managed to offer 8 million Israelis the kind of varied news selection which has made this society such an opinionated lot. And in any case, it is not the quantity that counts, it's the commitment. I had considerable difficulty in persuading those newspapers which remain to record the fact that the body they themselves had founded to keep legislators at bay is still around half a century later. It would appear that the issue of journalistic ethics is not as fashionable, certainly not as glamorous as it once was. I hope that the next 2 days of deliberations among delegates from so many different news scenes will allow us to better meet the grave challenges facing our industry. Those are reflected in the serious challenges posed to our self-regulatory system. I wish our overseas guests fruitful and rewarding deliberations and an enjoyable stay in Israel. Thank you.
Thank you, Arik. Many would call Justice Dalia Dorner Mrs. Human Rights in this country. During her distinguished career, including 11 years on the Supreme Court of Israel, Justice Dorner has written some groundbreaking rulings concerning minority rights, freedom of expression, gender equality, and many more. Over the past 7 years, she has presided over the Press Council here in Israel, so it is my pleasure to invite Justice Dalia Dorner.
Mr. President, distinguished guests from 28 countries and 4 international organizations, members of the Israeli Press Council, ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here to celebrate half a century of independent press regulation in Israel, a country barely 65 years old. The founding fathers of Israel's news media deserve much credit for making sure that even under circumstances of recurring national emergency, a free and fresh press was allowed to flourish in this country. As one who has spent decades on the bench, I can testify as to the crucial importance of allowing journalists to perform their duties unfettered by government. The principle of self-regulation of the media must be preserved without resort to statute. This principle is under strain at present all around the world, undermined by a crisis which has hit traditional news outlets. They find it increasingly difficult to sustain their own business model, let alone an external body of gatekeepers to watch over democracy's guard dogs. The crisis affecting news-gathering operations around the world has not bypassed Israel. Our newspapers are struggling to maintain quality journalism, and we at the Press Council are looking for ways to relieve the strain. This challenge will be at the core of the 2 days of discussions among dozens of media councils meeting here on the shores of the Mediterranean. It is perhaps fitting that this year's gathering of the Alliance of Independent Press Councils of Europe is being held in the Middle East. The turbulence which has engulfed this region over the past 2 years should serve as a reminder of just how important a free media is. I wish the Israeli Press Council a lasting future. I wish all of us fruitful discussions.